Everything's happening according to God's will. Everything's happening according to God's will. Everything's happening according to God's will. Everything's happening according to God's will.
He set the time for birth and time for death. Even the time for planting and the time for pulling up.
Even the time for killing and time for healing. Even the time for tearing down and time for building up.
Everything's happening according to God's will. Everything's happening according to God's will. Everything's happening according to God's will. Everything's happening according to God's will.
He set the time for sorrow and the time for joy.
Even a time for mounting and a time for dancing.
Even a time for making love and a time for not making love. Even a time for kissing and a time for not kissing.
Everything's happening according to God's will. Everything's happening according to God's will. Everything's happening according to God's will. Everything's happening according to God's will.
He said a time to find, even a time for loss, a time for saving and a time for throwing, even a time for turning and a time for medding, even a time for selling, the time for telling. He said a time for love and a time for hurt, even a time for war and a time for peace. Cause everything is working according to God's way.
He has set the time for everything. Everything, every action happening, it's on set time.
Me thank God for the life that me living. Even though it's hard, I know the ways through Jesus. Ups and downs, me not care, cause young people know the life, know the life.
Everything's happening according to God's will. Everything's happening according to God's will. Everything's happening according to God's will. Everything's happening according to God's will.